Welcome to my 2001 Toyota Tacoma Prerunnerish Walkaround. The front suspension on the truck is an MCM Fab 3.5 over kit. It has 2.5 ADS coilover, 2.5 ADS triple bypass on a Total Chaos hoop, and just ADS air bump currently bumping off the lowers. Truck also has the Chaos double shears for the upper and spindle gusset. It is a four-wheel drive truck with Tundra modified axles, you know, pretty standard Toyota kit. But it's been a pretty tough kit, as you can see how beefy the lower arm is, and it's held up extremely well for the many years I've been running it. The rear suspension and the other stuff in the back of this truck are, it's a Deaver E30 pack spring under with a 12-inch Chaos shackle. Have an ADS 3.0 5-tube bypass, a set of Fox 2.0 3-inch stroke air bumps. The truck has a Camberg 3.5 housing that actually utilizes Solid Axle Industries Dana 60 hub kit and brake kit, which the brakes are basically Chevy brake. It actually works out pretty well being where we're at, because I can get bearings and stuff pretty easily being a Dana 60. The third member is a strange alter case that's loaded with a set of 529 gears. It's a Motive 10-inch lightened ring gear setup. And the other thing that really helps this truck out a lot, I'm hoping I can get it in this shot, is a traction bar, which is just a Ruffstuff HD traction bar. Really helped us save a lot of drivetrain parts once we switched to this. Moving up to the bed of the truck, you can see the bed cage. It's all TIG welded, originally built by Lenger Racing many years ago. The truck started life and has changed a few times. You can see the current ADS 3.0 5 tubes were a nice addition. We did that a couple years ago. Fuel cells, a Jazz 22 gallon that we actually modified to utilize all the stock sending unit and pump. Has the stock float, so you actually have everything functional. Truck thinks it has a stock tank in it. It even gives me a fuel level. A Durali transmission cooler. Currently a single battery, which I'm going to switch to a dual just to even out the weight. Get a battery on the other side. The Milwaukee packouts are really a pretty nice storage option these days. Has the plate underneath there that locks them in place, so you can just quick snap them out. There's quick release fire extinguishers. Old Pelican case that's been back here forever, holding all the recovery straps and gear. C4 Fiberwerks jack skid plate that's been back here quite a few years. I think we used it like 2 years ago, so probably should check that. It hopefully works. And just a basic tire spinner design where served me well. Been in the truck for probably 12-15 years, somewhere in that regard. Into the interior of the truck, as you can see, we attempted to keep as much of the factory dash, or as kind of factory sleeper, whatever you want to call it. Just simplified as we can. You see a switch pros, have rugged radio and intercom system mounted in there. MPI wheel. And obviously there's a full TIG welded roll cage built by Halo Supercars. Has some KC Cyclone lights in here, work great for interior lights. Corbo Baja RS seats and PRP harnesses have always served me well. This is my second set in this truck in over the last 10-12 years, whatever it's been. One of the more controversial mods we did this last winter was what we call the pedal delete kit. As you can see, I have two small pedals in this truck because it used to be a RF 150 5-speed in this truck, and we switched it to a Toyota A340F, so I have a 4-speed automatic in here now. We didn't install any of the computers. We decided to just do the Sidewinder shifter with an RA Design switch kit, which we have a video on installing that in the shifter. If you want to check that out, you can find that on our page. And I literally just put a switch for the torque converter right there. I mean, a lot of people I know weren't happy about that and don't understand why I'd want to do that, but after breaking 9 transmissions, if anybody wants some, I've got a whole bunch of cores sitting around. And quite honestly, if you have questions about why it happens, I've discussed this for years with people and have put it out there, but unfortunately, the way the transmission stack is, third gear is just a real weak point because there's no support in the middle of the stack, and it ends up breaking when you really heat the transmission up. We even, per request of people, tried running 250 weight oil, and the transmission gets so hot it just thins it out, and I wasn't willing to stop every time the transmission needed to cool down. Now we're able to cool the transmission, haven't had a single problem, and this is 180,000 mile transmission. We literally just put a Transgo shift kit in and ran it because we figured we just test it out.
I felt that one.
Moving to the exterior of the truck, the front bumper is actually a All-Pro Baja bumper, I think they call it now. It just used to be the only bumper they made for this truck, and many years ago it's been modified a couple times. Probably the most notable is Langer Racing cut out the winch plate and made the middle center section skid plate. Still utilizes the All-Pro 1/4-inch plate skid. The Baja Design lights just serve me very well. I'm running Pro spots in the middle and combo XL80s on the outside, along with combo Squadron Pros down underneath. I run the amber covers most of the time, and then when we're actually nighttime, I usually take the ambers off. But fiberglass, the front is advanced 6.5. Over the rear is Fiberwerks 4.5 glass. The rims are KMC Grenade, I believe, beadlocks. And I run a 295/70/17. I actually have 2 rim and tire packages for the truck. One's more of a sand dune package, and then the other is for more trails, crawling, more off-road stuff in that regard. I'll try to get a shot of it so we can convert over here soon, because we're going to take a trip to Winter Rock Park in Tennessee. Moving under the hood of the truck, we have the original 3.4. She's been a trooper over the years. I think I'm at 140,000 miles on it. Has TRD supercharger, which the supercharger's been on since I think like 30,000 miles at this point. Has 2.1 URD pulley. Has their fancy tensioner pulley and crankshaft pulley, if you can see it down there. Truck's running a URD 7th injector kit. See the JBA headers that are shoved in there. Probably one of the biggest pain in the butt parts about this truck. It's almost easier to pull the motor to put these things in and out than it is any other way. Got dual Flexolite fans, which have worked flawlessly. Been in the truck for probably 10 years. I do just run them so that they are basically always running. They're on on-off switch. They're not on a thermostat anymore, because I did have some problems with more so fuses and relays. I'd actually melt the holders because they're pulling just a constant draw of juice. Has a K&N cold air intake that clearly isn't really a cold air intake, but obviously there's only so much room to work with in the truck. You can see where I mounted the switch pros, and it's been pretty good. I just got to finish cleaning up some wires. I don't have a lot of time on that setup yet, but it's been real nice and convenient, and really cleaned up a lot under here, being able to get rid of a lot of the stuff. See what we have for an engine cage currently, but the engine cage has been kind of dropped because held back, we'll say, just because at one point there was transmission swap issues. If we were gonna just LS the truck, would have been an easier route to go, or not, and the transmission swaps actually worked out pretty good thus far, so we'll see where we go from there. As we're sitting here talking about the truck, there's to my left.
Yeah, there you go.
Like there.
That's
there.
better. Yeah.
There. Okay. Well, this might make the highlight. This might have to make the bloopers reel. But anyways, as we're talking about the truck, I guess there's some history. This truck's been around a long time. I've had it for almost 20 years now at this point, I guess. And then you know, trying to hard. There's been a lot of different things, but a lot of people always ask me about, like, what broke, what were the weak points, why did I choose to do what I did. So I figured it'd probably be probably not a bad thing to do, is put a little section here of whys. And you know, probably one of the earliest things we actually broke on the truck was the ears off the motor mount perches, which is pretty common. The motor mounts break all the time also, but the perches are also a huge problem. And we actually designed a set of plate ones that we built that work out nice, and we put those on a few trucks over the years, and they've worked out pretty well. Going to the next thing is, as you increase the travel, you're pushing the truck harder. Really what I ran into was transmissions have been something that we've literally tried everything on manuals to make survive, and we just never could. I couldn't run a weekend where I could just stay out and run laps. And so pretty much that's why we went to the automatic transmission swap, because it gives us the ability to cool the transmission, which is a big thing, because we tried lots of setup. We tried tires, weight, a lot of different factors on the truck to help that. We even thought the traction bar would help that, and it really didn't. Nothing really ever changed it, because as soon as the transmission got hot at all, we just had issues. Fortunately, you can see the sun's like right in my eyes. That's great, but that's okay.
Should put sunglasses on.
We'll keep going. I should have had sunglasses on, but that's cool.
Hashtag heatwave visual.
Yeah, hashtag heatwave visual. But the next really serious thing about the truck, the other problem we run into is once you get out of the transmission, you got rear end. Even though we originally built a setup that was a spring over, it actually worked really well. It's just that I actually bent leaf springs like crazy, and I mean, at that point couldn't keep a drive shaft in the truck, so you'd break drive shafts all the time. A traction bar helped it but didn't get rid of it, and so we went away from a traction bar when we did the spring under setup, and the spring under setup really made the rear just shine. The only issue we ran into with that is now we still had, after the pack was a couple trips old, I still snap drive shaft parts. We blow rear ends up. The Toyota rear end is the other thing. I know I have a heavy right foot. People say it, but it is what it is. That's how I drive the truck. It's how I want it to survive. So we've always built the truck to survive. And since we've gone with the big rear ends, it hasn't been an issue. I know I lose a little power because I'm turning so much more mass in the rear end now, but the rear end hasn't had any issues. And we're used to have to put at least one ring and pinion in the truck a year. We haven't had to do that in how many years has that thing been in there now? 3 years, I think. So we haven't had to do that. We did change gear set at one time went from 488 to 529, which that was all an attempt to save transmissions, and it really didn't. Nothing. I pretty much on the dot would break transmissions, because there's at least 2 large trips I make every year that it would die on the second large trip. Day two it can never survive. And I mean, that's just kind of why we went in the direction we went with it. You know, there's been other failures with the truck, but you know, mostly myself. I mean, we broken the frame in the front. But quite honestly, I jumped off a ledge that I shouldn't have, and it was a hard landing. It was hard enough I actually bent the steering wheel when I landed. The truck actually took it really well, landed, and it probably was a minor, but we then proceeded to probably jump the truck, I don't know, roughly 10 times, probably 8 foot off the ground after that, and we didn't even notice it until 2 trips later. But knowing that I felt something a little weird and just kept running with it, prep was probably an issue on that point too. We probably could have fixed a small crack, and we ended up having to fix the frame, but at that point we really gusseted. The back of the truck's actually, I guess I missed in the video, is plated and boxed, so that's really probably helped it quite a bit. I guess hope you enjoy the walk around of the truck. Sorry I'm not a great host, but I'll do my best, and this is my truck.
We have here is your basic trophy truck suspension front and back, 3,000 inches of travel, and 2,500 horsepower. I'm like super far away.
Okay. What, you want me to be back?
Oh no, I'd say you start talking.
Okay.
Like here, probably start talking.
Start talking like now?
Yeah, like
now.
right now. Like now.
Like now.
Now would have been good.
Okay, now probably would have been good.
Now.